See, this was a very good example of Tim's ability to show absolutely no reaction when totally under fire and surprised. But you were surprised. Yeah. It's well practiced. And, you know, this truly is an emotional moment for us, you know, for that we get to, in this circumstance, and, you know, I love the setting. You know, in a way, it doesn't really matter where you are and how many people are there. It's the love and the admiration and just the overall picture of a person, admiration for someone, and a picture of a person who has really given so much, you know, to the sport of running in Boulder, to the Boulder, and then gone on from there. And I like to think that, you know, when I first met Tim and we were running repeat miles north of town, near the golf course, because I was way behind you. Yeah, we were. I was working out with the CU track and cross country team. You know, I kind of sensed a certain ability. You know, Tim went on, graduated, and started to teach. I went and began to go into business through retail stores and clothing company. And fortunately for all of us, somehow fate brought us together. And one of the few smart things I've done in my life with regard to business relationships is to know what I don't know, and to look for mentors, and to try to really look for people who were suited for what they might do. And Tim turned out to be one of those people. I'm not really trying to take any credit for this, but I think it was Tim's willingness to sort of join us up here, and in a way take a risk leaving his profession, and he just went on from there. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, you hear parents with children, you know, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. We all want our children to exceed us. You know, we want them to go beyond what we feel we've accomplished. Well, in a way, there's a parallel with Tim's association with me, because what I truly like to think is he took the opportunity and perhaps learned something from me, but then took it so much farther than I could take it. And I always, in a way, look back on this and pride myself, again, with knowing what I didn't know. And it's sort of a variation on that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, for me. Tim did the job, and he went on from working with me to going off in the, you know, professional world. And I think as he neared retirement, for his give back, he decided to come back and be associated with the Boulder and reconnect with that. He'd had a connection over the years. We did the telecast, but then he decided to come back and, okay, I think I'll finish out this way, sort of a full circle. So, Tim, I can't tell you how appreciative I am for what you've done for me personally. Again, running in this community in particular, and to also tell you that along with being smart enough to know what I didn't know, I always looked up to you in a certain way as a mentor, because as you went on from being here in Boulder to go on and be so incredibly successful in other areas, I watched and I tried to learn, and I tried to sort of benefit from that. So I, along with everybody else here, Thank you for all you've done for this race. Your timing has always been very, very good, I think. And I think you're going to go on from here. And I hope you let us know, and me in particular, just what it is you want to do as you go on with the rest of your life, because you got plenty of years ahead of you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was. We flipped the coin to see whether your daughter or you were going to speak. She got the long straw. First year race, 40 years ago, and I actually thought that you could run a race too, when that didn't work. And got all done, and they said there was some wild man down here tearing up the finish line and screaming about things weren't right. And I looked over, and it all looked pretty good to me. Well, he came to the race. I didn't know him, and looked around and said, "This finish line is screwed up," and jumped in, something like that. And he jumped in and single-handedly saved it. What are these things in life that you look back and somebody comes into your life and for 40 years we've been best friends. I won't tell some of his stories about his career, but I first of all, it took me a long time to figure out who in the hell this wild man was. And we got acquainted and said, well, if I could ever help you, let me know. Was it 3 days or? But you tell the story from there. Tim worked at the bank with us for a while, and we'd give him a job and think it was going to take 3 weeks, and 2 days later he was looking for more to do. And I'd been working with Frank, and he gave me the honor of being on his board, and something came up. Well, we had to fire somebody. And said, what are we going to do in the meantime? We said, well, Tim could go in and hold the reins for a while. Tim Cronin, hold the reins. He was whipping the horse before he ever got in the office. Next thing we know, he's talking to Levi's, calling a senior vice president who he's never met out of a meeting, saying that he absolutely has to talk to me about something because I know what's going on with their board meeting. And he can expand from there. But a friend, he and Frank have teamed up great doing the telecast and advising, and we'd be here all night between Frank and me talking about it. But let's let Tim say whatever he wants to say. But thanks, buddy. It's been a great time.
Thank you. I'll be brief, which, as you know, is not easy. If you're Irish, it's even more of a problem. And I wanted to thank my wife, who absolutely surprised me, and my daughter, who I'm sure knew already.
I was in Chicago.
I got a text earlier in the afternoon, said, I'm going to sit down and watch a movie, so I'm going to turn off my phone. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then she came out, and it might be the only Boulder t-shirt I've ever seen you in. Anyway, I wanted to thank Cliff, Steve, of course, for taking a chance on me and hiring me to be part of the bank, and then backing me to be part of Frank's company. I met Frank when he came to Boulder in 1970. I was still in college. Frank's a couple weeks older than I am, but we became friends. Just our personalities matched, and I always felt like I always needed to have Frank's back because I always knew he'd have mine. And with Steve did say, "Hey, if you ever need anything, give me a call," and I did. And then he was stuck. And the first job he gave me was cleaning a storeroom, which at the bank was where they kept all of the pens and the legal pads and all of the miscellaneous crap that a bank has. And after I got that done and organized and set a system to sign in and sign out, I went to Steve and I said, you know, I've watched people come in and take a handful of pens and take 3 or 4 legal pads and then leave. And I don't know about you, but I've never worn out a pen. I've never run a pen from top to bottom, and a legal pad, I will spill coffee on it way before I ever fill it up. So it was Steve's idea to tell everybody that the new guy lost the key to the storeroom, and we had to close the office supply room for a week. And a week became 2 and became 3, and people then started going to other desks and finding office supplies, and the bank didn't come to a screeching halt. And the point was that maybe we could control this cost a little better. And I had some other odd jobs in mailroom. They never let me get into lending. That's probably a good thing on his part. But you know, Frank and Steve took a chance on me. Frank at the store when the manager of the downtown store left, and they put me temporarily in charge of the store, and then we opened a few more stores, and I was temporarily in charge of the whole thing for a while. And then the clothing company, we fired the CEO, president / crook, for all good reasons. And then they put me temporarily in charge of that, and we did sell the company to Levi Strauss. And that's another longer story that probably requires all the beer in the tub. But I called the president of Levi Strauss, who I'd never met, and got him out of a board of directors meeting to take my call. And that's what happens when you call the president of Levi Strauss's secretary every 30 minutes for 4 hours. And as I became part of Levi's, I would never do that again. But it was great. I mean, and I have led a charmed life. I met a woman who I don't deserve, had children that are better than I deserve. Steve took a great chance on me, and I've worked for the race for 40 years in capacities that were over my head, and I just had to figure them out. But I've been very fortunate and blessed to be part of this organization. Doing the TV commentary has been a joy and a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. Working with Frank is incredible because he's so good. He's the pro, and you know, my job is to not screw it up while we do it. And in the past 10 years, getting to work with Don in terms of the elite athletes has been really fun. We've worked well together, and it's been a great time. And to know all the people in the group and here at the race is just, it's incredible. It's a great group, an experience that I could only hope the rest of you would ever have. This is great, a big surprise, frankly. I had no idea. So thank you very much. Oh, I'll tell you something about Erin. Erin actually, so Erin is our oldest daughter. Erin was about 2 months away from being born at the very first Boulder, and for the past 25 years, 20 years, Erin has worked with me on the Boulder. And what Erin does is absolutely indescribable, because she puts together the bios for all the athletes in the pro race, which is, you know, what was their best 10K, 5K, marathon, when did they run last, what kind of race do they run. But it's just, it's, well, it's, yeah. Anyway, Erin does all this work, and we take credit for what she does, by the way. And then on TV, what we do is we use that, as we're talking about, as the race is unfolding. We have all these cheat sheets that Frank has and I have. And then in addition to that, Erin is on one of the press trucks, and what happens is that once the race unfolds, you can't see on this little tiny monitor in front of you in a bright sunlit day in the stadium, you can't see any of the numbers. So what Erin does on the truck is she sends me text messages with the number 21, 23, 26, 41, 43, and those are the numbers of the athletes, and I have a sheet that tells me who they are. And then if she puts in two spaces, I know that that's every space is 10 yards. So I know that every space is 10 yards, and the next group of numbers is 20 or 30 yards back. So we can call the race and tell people exactly how far everybody is, because I'm getting text messages. And this was a system that she invented. Like I said, I take credit for all this stuff, but she did all this work. So without that, we would not be able to do the broadcast because you would not be able to see the numbers because the focal range on the camera is only about 20 meters. So you can't see anything. So I would like to personally thank Erin for all the work she's done for 20 years, making me look good, making Frank look good, and actually helping us to, the Boulder Bowler has won 17 Emmy Awards for the broadcast. And so that's incredible. So it's for the event. It's not just because what Frank and I do, but it's 17 Emmy Awards for the event. But the event doesn't come off unless we have people like Erin doing what she does, and Frank and I getting to do what we do, and kind of whipping the crowd up to a frenzy as the athletes come in. And as the athletes will tell you, that's the biggest crowd they'll ever see outside of an Olympics. So 50,000 people screaming. It's pretty impressive. It's fun. In 40 years of working the race, I've never run the race, never been on the course during the race. I have no idea what's going on, yet we talk about it as if we know exactly what's going on. But it's the magic of TV. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great run. It's been an honor to have Erin to be part of that team. Oh, man. Stuff.
This is the original first year poster. Costs $6.50 standard. It says it's an AAU certified course, and it says race against Frank Shorter and Rick Rojas. There's 2 originals left that we can find. We'd like you to have one.
I would be honored to put that up. And I'm really glad that Steve didn't mention that if you ever look at the race and the results of the race, on the second year there's an asterisk on the course for the time. And the reason was that I was the assistant race director, which meant I did whatever. No, it wasn't just you. It was Sandy. So I did whatever she didn't want to do. And I was in charge of overseeing the measuring the course. And so that we had a group come in to measure the course, and they said they followed all the protocols. And Frank finished the race and said, I don't know about you guys, but from 4 to 5 miles or 5 to 6 miles, the course is long. I'm like, oh, drat. And sure enough, upon further review, the course was long. So there's an asterisk in that course for the second year because the course was too long, and that asterisk is mine.
Well, actually, there was another person in there, but he's too nice to. You know, he said something here a minute ago that I don't know if those of you who know him, when he said something about, I act like I know what I'm talking about and I have no idea. It's a trademark. Something else that we'd like you to have.
I've never opened anything this fast before. Oh, that's great. Oh, I never had a bib.
Were you about 16 there?
Yeah, that's, I was 23 there. No.
We all
That's
thank
30 years old now.
we all thank you very much, Tim.
No, man, thank you.
Karen, thanks for joining us. We got a lot of work for you.